Keyboard instruments are actually two instruments. They're the keys on top that we play, and then also the resonators or resonant boxes underneath that are activated by those keys. Once activated, resonators tend to have a pretty singular sound, so if we want to manipulate the tone of our instrument, that's basically going to happen up here by how we play the keys. Keyboard bars generally have three pitches tuned into them. There's the pitch of the bar itself, then there's a double octave harmonic, and then there's a color tone, which is, in the case of a marimba, another octave plus a major third. Now that major third on different instruments could be a perfect fourth or a perfect fifth, but the concept is the same. Three tones, bar pitch, double octave, color tone. The bar pitch is the lowest, simplest, and darkest sound. When we say darkest, that means it has the most of the low sounds tuned into the bar and the least amount of the high sounds tuned in. We can demonstrate this with the use of a tuner app. To show the harmonic spectrum of the bar, you can see the three different ranges. So I can start with the note C. You can see on the tuner, there's one note obviously being activated, and then there's two other ranges that are popping just a little bit. So the second range is going to show where that octave is. You can see that peak a little bit more when I play it. And then the higher region is an additional octave plus a major third. This darkest bar pitch location is located actually in a couple of different places on the bar. The simplest place is on the end of the bar. If I play on the last sliver of the edge of the bar, we get this low tone. Now, if I take my two fingers, I'll take one of them and put it on the playing spot at the edge where I just played, and I'll put the other over the rope that goes through the bar at the nodal spot. If I keep that spacing and slide my fingers up, so the one that was on the end is now on the rope, the one that was just on the rope is now in a new spot about halfway from the edge to the center, and I refer to this as the bizarro edge spot. Because it's the same distance from the rope as the edge of the bar, it actually produces the same tone. So I can play in the end here, and then on the bizarro end, and you can hear basically the exact same tone. Now, because the bars are symmetrical, front to back, those tones also exist on the far side. So there's 4 different locations on every bar that produce exactly the same tone. This is really helpful when you're trying to navigate complex passages or doing strange body work and you want a consistent sound. You actually have 4 different locations on every bar that you can get that sound. It's also really helpful when you're playing rolls because it's a lot easier to play splitting 2 different spots, or here, than it is to try to play in one single location like this. It's also better than playing in alternate zones, which we'll get to in just a second. To emphasize the next harmonic up, that double octave harmonic, we're going to go to the center of the bar. So if I start at the end spot, and then I go to the center, you'll hear that there's a brighter sound overall, and you're going to hear the resonator get louder underneath. Just listen to that. This one is worth doing on your own instrument. Listening over headphones or on earbuds, you may not get the effect, but as soon as you stand over your own instrument, you're immediately going to hear that happen. We can demonstrate this double octave harmonic on the tuner as well. If I play on the end spot on a bar, you'll see those same 3 tones. But now if I move to the center, you're going to see a whole other region start to activate. All of a sudden there's more prominence and a larger number of little micro pitches that are rising in that sound. And that accounts for not only the increase in volume of the resonator, but also the overall breadth and brightness of the sound. Myth-busting time. It's important to note the resonator doesn't get louder because you're playing directly on top of it. There's a long-standing belief that where you play over a resonator determines how loud it is. That's not true, although it seems to correlate when you listen to your bar harmonics. What's actually happening is that the pipe is tuned to pick up the wavelength, the frequency of the bar that it's above. If you swap them out, the pipe will not activate over a different note. Because the harmonics activated in the center of the bar fit nicely inside the wavelength of the bar pitch, and there's more of them sort of clustered together, you get more resonator activation. It doesn't actually have anything to do with where exactly the resonator is located under the bar. In fact, there's an instrument available from Malitech that they use a zigzag pattern on their resonators, so half of them down low are not directly under the center, and it doesn't have any appreciable effect on their resonance. The last harmonic we want to activate is that color spot. This is the highest tone with an extra octave plus a major third above the double octave harmonic. This spot is the brightest, the most complex in tone, and has sort of a hazy quality to it. You'll know that you're in that zone from listening because you're going to hear the resonator deactivate. So if I start here in the center, as I pull out of the center, you'll hear me get to that bizarro spot where the color warms up significantly. If I just keep going slowly for a moment, you're going to hear the resonator drop out. And hear kind of a bright, harmonic-y, hazy tone. We can demonstrate this color harmonic on the tuning app as well. I can play my warmest sound, and then we'll see in that upper zone the harmonics broaden and increase just a little bit. Now, the low bars on any instrument are going to make a much clearer difference when you do these adjustments than the high bars, and this is for a couple of different reasons. First of all, the high bars on any instrument are getting smaller, so all of these different zones we've been looking at on the instrument, they're getting squished together physically and sort of melding into one, and so the distinction between them gets lost. The second reason is that the actual frequencies of these higher harmonics are getting lost to your ear as they get higher and higher. The maximum hertz frequency that a human can hear before it starts falling off is about 15,000 hertz. So if we start down low on the instrument, this low A is approximately 110 hertz, which means its double octave is about 440, and its color tone is about 1,109. That's all well within the audible range. So if I make adjustments from the end spot or bizarro end spot to the center, to the color spot, that's all perfectly audible because it's well within your range. However, if I were to do the same thing from the highest A on this instrument, the frequency of that is about 1,760, which means its double octave is about 7,040, which means its color harmonic is 17,740, which is officially out of the usual human audible range. So although that frequency is happening and it is impacting your ear, your perceptive ability falls short. What this basically means is that the top octave and a half of a marimba, the top half octave of a vibraphone, the top 3 octaves of a xylophone, and all of a glockenspiel are in this range where the upper harmonics are lost to some extent on your ear. And that's where the traditional advice comes from, that you want to start defaulting to the centers of the bars more frequently in those upper ranges, because that's how you're going to retain a good uniform tone, and because doing anything else isn't usually helpful.